When everything begins to collapse around you and no one seems to understand the pain in your heart, when the voices of the world drown out your cries for help, and even your closest companions don't recognize the storm that's brewing within your soul, that is when you will truly discover that only one being is always there, always listening, always powerful, Allah. When no one understands your pain, Allah already knows your heart. Sometimes you'll go through things you can't even explain to yourself, let alone the people around you. The pain is deep, the confusion is overwhelming, and you look around only to find silence. The ones you thought would be there for you have their own lives to worry about. The ones who usually listen now seem distracted. And even if someone did ask how you're doing, you'd struggle to put your feelings into words. But what brings calm to a troubled heart is the knowledge that you don't need to explain anything to Allah. He already knows. He knows the tears you hold back. He knows the weight on your shoulders. He knows the anxiety that nobody sees. Before you could find the words to describe it, He already knew what was breaking you. When you turn to Him in that state, there is no judgment, there is no impatience, there is no dismissal. Instead, there is an unmatched form of mercy, one that holds you before you even ask, one that surrounds your heart before your lips even move. This is the beauty of the relationship with your Creator. You don't need to hide your pain, you don't need to fake a smile, you don't need to pretend everything is okay. You just need to lift your hands and call out to Him. Even if all you can say is, Ya Allah, help me. Even if you cry more than you speak. That alone is enough for the mercy of Allah to descend upon you in ways you can't imagine. There are moments when a person feels like they're drowning in emotions. It's not just one thing causing pain, it's a combination. Worry about the future, regret over the past, fear about where life is heading. Sometimes the heart is restless for no apparent reason. You don't know why you feel like crying, but your eyes are full. You don't know why you're tired, but your body is weak. You don't know why you're anxious, but your chest feels heavy. In those moments, many people start searching for distractions. They scroll through their phones. They reach out to people hoping for reassurance. They keep themselves busy just to avoid being alone with their thoughts. But the real healing begins when you stop running from the pain and start sitting with it in silence with Allah. The most powerful conversations you will ever have are not the ones others hear. They are the ones between you and your Rabb when you're alone. No lights, no audience, no filters, just your heart laid bare in front of the one who created it. He knows which memories haunt you. He knows which people hurt you. He knows which dreams broke inside you. And He knows the strength you've been holding on to when no one else noticed. That is why when you begin to speak to Him, even if the words are shaky, even if your voice cracks, even if all you manage is a silent cry, you will feel seen, you will feel heard, you will feel held. People often assume that faith removes pain, but the reality is faith teaches you what to do with pain. It teaches you that even your suffering has a purpose, that it's not a punishment but a pathway. That the tears you cry today may be watering the seeds of ease tomorrow. And most importantly, faith teaches you that you're never alone in what you're going through. Sometimes people will be too distracted to notice you're struggling. Other times they'll see your pain but won't know how to respond. And then there are times when people will simply walk away thinking your silence means you're fine. But Allah never misunderstands your silence. He never misreads your expression. He never overlooks your distress. He knows you better than you know yourself. There are souls carrying pain from childhood, wounds from betrayal, losses they never fully recovered from. Some are grieving loved ones. Some are healing from broken marriages. Some are battling mental health silently. And some are simply tired of pretending, tired of fighting, tired of being strong. It's in these moments that the heart reaches a level of vulnerability that only Allah can truly respond to. Because the kind of healing you need isn't physical, it's not financial, it's not even verbal. It's spiritual. You need someone who can reach into your heart and give it peace without changing the world around you, and only Allah can do that. He doesn't just heal by removing the pain. Sometimes He heals by strengthening you through the pain. You begin to notice you're smiling again, not because everything is perfect, but because your heart found comfort in His remembrance. You're able to get up in the morning not because your problems disappeared, but because you found meaning through the trial. You learn to say, Alhamdulillah, not because you feel strong, but because you know that even your weakness is seen and supported by Him. And sometimes the pain itself is a mercy. It brings you back to Him in ways comfort never could. It strips away your illusions, it humbles you, it softens you. It makes you realize how temporary this world is and how essential your connection with your Creator island. The pain becomes a bridge, one that carries you away from distraction and back to devotion. One that takes you away from depending on others and teaches you what true dependence on Allah looks like. Even when you feel lost, even when you can't find your way, He is guiding you. Even when you feel like giving up, He is writing a better chapter for you. Even when you're exhausted and want to retreat, He's inviting you to draw closer to Him, to rest in His remembrance, to release in His presence. And that is why people who have gone through the deepest storms sometimes become the ones with the softest hearts. Because their trials didn't push them away, they pulled them into a deeper relationship with the one who never left their side. When every door has closed, when your plans have failed, when your strength has faded, that is when the help of Allah arrives in the most beautiful ways. But it's not always loud, it's not always visible. Sometimes it's in the form of a calm heart, a silent reassurance, a delayed gift, a lesson you didn't understand at first. But with time you look back and realize that every moment of pain was actually leading you to something greater, something cleaner, something that this world could never offer. And when you witness how Allah brings light into your darkness, when you see how He answers the dua you forgot you even made, when you experience how He replaces what you lost with something far better, you will never rely on anyone the way you rely on Him again. There will be situations in life where you will feel like giving up. Your career may fall apart, relationships may break, health may decline. But even when everything collapses, the one thing that should remain intact is your belief that Allah is still in control. That belief is not just comforting, it is transformational. It allows you to rise when you've fallen. It gives you hope when there seems to be none. It gives you direction when everything else is uncertain. And even when you're struggling with faith itself, when you're confused, when you're doubting, when you're unsure, bring those feelings to Allah too. He can handle your confusion. He can handle your doubts. He can handle your sadness. In fact, He's the only one who can help you through it. The problem is not in feeling weak. The problem is when we pretend we are strong and stop turning to Him. The heart that says, "Oh Allah, I'm lost," is more sincere than the one that pretends to be fine while drifting away. If you ever find yourself overwhelmed, just pause, take a breath, make wudu, sit in sujood and talk. Not to the world, not to people, but to Allah. Lay it all down. The heartbreak, the confusion, the guilt, the fear. And when you're done, ask Him for strength, for clarity, for peace. You may not walk away with immediate answers, but you will walk away lighter. Because your heart just spoke to the one who never tires of listening. Every door may close, but Allah's door is never locked. That door doesn't require status to enter. It doesn't require perfection. You don't need to be a scholar. You don't need to have memorized books. You don't need to have the right words. You just need a sincere heart and the courage to ask. And the moment you take one step toward Him, He comes running toward you. Not to judge, not to reject, but to welcome you with more mercy than you think you deserve. You'll find that the people who were too busy for you, Allah was never too busy. The people who misunderstood your silence, Allah knew what you couldn't say. The people who couldn't be there for you, Allah never left. And this truth will stay with you for the rest of your life. Through every storm, every tear, every low, and every high. Sometimes Allah breaks your heart to fix your soul. It may seem harsh when the plan you trusted falls apart, or when the person you loved lets you down, or when the life you envisioned slips away. But in every disappointment there is a hidden mercy. There is wisdom that unfolds only with time. When something you love is taken away, it's not always because you did something wrong. It could be because Allah knew that thing was slowly pulling you away from Him. The blessings we cling to can sometimes distract us from the one who gave them. The heart becomes attached, expectations grow, and slowly the line between gift and giver begins to blur. So when the heart becomes too dependent on the wrong thing, Allah out of His mercy breaks the attachment to save the soul. When your heart is broken, you begin to realize who was really in control all along. You begin to see that the strength you thought you had was not yours, that the support you were leaning on was temporary, that the love you thought would complete you could never fulfill what only Allah can. The pain becomes a teacher, a purifier, a mirror. It shows you the parts of yourself you were ignoring. It reminds you that healing doesn't come from this world. It comes from the one who created your heart in the first place. And so, as painful as it may feel in the moment, heartbreak can become the gateway to the most beautiful transformation of your soul. Allah doesn't break the heart to punish it, is always to redirect. It is to remind you that peace does not lie in people or things, it lies in surrender. It lies in accepting that your plan will never be better than His. You may cry, you may not understand, but when you reach a place of sincere trust, even the pain begins to feel sacred. You start to notice that through the storm you were being rebuilt. Your eyes once distracted now begin to seek Him. Your hands once busy now rise in dua. Your heart once distant now longs for closeness. And that is the beginning of something far more beautiful than the life you thought you lost. There is a kind of beauty that is born only through pain. When you cry to Allah in the middle of the night, when you beg with a broken voice, when your heart is heavy and your soul feels empty, and yet you still call out to Him, that sincerity is unmatched. That vulnerability is powerful. That moment becomes the most honest form of worship. You are no longer performing. You are no longer trying to impress anyone. You are just there, broken, real, and completely dependent on Him. And that is where the soul is truly refined. You may lose people, you may lose wealth, you may lose opportunities, but you will never lose what was written for you. What you do lose was never yours to begin with. And what stays with you stays by His permission. The test is not in the loss itself, it is in your reaction to it. Will you blame Him or will you trust Him? Will you complain about what was taken? Or will you search for what He's trying to give in its place? Because often what is taken away is far less than what He's preparing you to receive. Sometimes the pain is a filter. It removes the noise. It cleanses the soul. It resets your priorities. And in that clarity you begin to discover the purpose you were too distracted to notice before. Faith doesn't mean you won't feel pain. It means that even in the pain you'll remember that your Lord never leaves you. That even in your tears you are being guided. That even in confusion there is divine order. There is something extraordinary about the one who falls into sajda, not because life is perfect, but because their heart still believes that Allah is in control. That surrender is what opens the door to a peace that nothing else can provide. And with every tear you shed, with every moment you endure, Allah is raising your status, purifying your soul and drawing you closer. So don't run from the pain, sit with it, reflect through it. And let it lead you back to the one who allowed it for your benefit. You'll find that your strongest du'as are often born in your weakest moments. When you have no one left to turn to, when you're emotionally drained, when the people you counted on can't be reached or don't understand, that's when your dua becomes sincere. That's when you stop rehearsing the words and start speaking from the heart. That's when your soul finds freedom in submission. And in those du'as you'll experience a nearness to Allah that no worldly achievement could ever match. Every soul must be tested. Every heart must be broken. Not to harm, but to humble. Not to destroy, but to elevate. The greatest among us have all walked through storms, but they emerged with hearts that were anchored in trust, in gratitude, in complete reliance on Allah. Because it is not the absence of trials that makes a person strong. It is the ability to stand again, to trust again, to love again, only this time with Allah at the center of it all. Sometimes Allah delays what you want, not because He's denying it, but because He's refining you. What you're asking for might be great, but maybe you're not ready yet. Maybe your heart still clings to things that would corrupt the blessing. Maybe your vision is short-sighted. Maybe what you want will bring harm if given at the wrong time. So instead of rushing the process, surrender to it. Understand that the waiting period is not a punishment, it is preparation. You're not being ignored, you're being shaped, your soul is being strengthened. Your faith is being upgraded, the delay is full of divine attention, full of mercy you don't even realize yet. If Allah gave us everything we asked for, when we asked for it, we would ruin ourselves. Sometimes we ask for comfort when we actually need discipline. Sometimes we ask for success when we need humility. Sometimes we ask for a relationship that would damage our deen. So He withholds, not out of anger but out of love. And the greatest test is to still say Alhamdulillah when the dua is delayed. To still trust when the result doesn't come. To still pray even when the silence feels heavy. That kind of trust is what transforms a believer into someone whose reliance is unshakable. The delay is a chance to reflect. To ask yourself, why do I want this? Is it good for my akhirah? Am I prepared for the responsibility that comes with it? The problem is most people only look at the surface. They see the job, the spouse, the wealth, but they don't consider what it will do to their heart, their faith, their focus. Allah sees it all. So if He withholds something, it's never to deprive, it's to protect. And if He gives it later, it's not because He forgot, it's because now you're ready. Sometimes what feels like a closed door is actually Allah redirecting you to something far better. You may not see it yet. You may feel frustrated. But how many times have you looked back and thanked Him for the things that didn't work out? That relationship that ended, the opportunity you missed, the plan that failed, later you realized it was a blessing. At the time you thought you were being rejected, but in reality you were being redirected. And that is why the believer always finds peace, not because life is perfect, but because he knows that even the imperfections are part of the plan. The du'as you make in pain are not wasted. They are stored, guarded, multiplied. You may not see the result in this moment, but every single cry, every single whisper, every tear that falls in sajda is being recorded, being treasured by the one who never forgets. And He responds in ways you don't always recognize. Sometimes He gives you strength instead of change. Sometimes He gives you growth instead of relief. Sometimes He gives you understanding instead of an escape. And all of it is part of His mercy. When you rely on people, you may be disappointed, not because they're evil, but because they're limited. Their understanding is limited. Their patience is limited. Their resources are limited. But when you rely on Allah, you rely on the one who knows you better than you know yourself. He knows what you want. He knows what you need. He knows what will break you and what will build you. And He provides in ways that go beyond your imagination. If something is meant for you, it will find its way to you. No matter how far it seems, no matter how many obstacles stand in the way, if Allah has written it for you, it will reach you at the right time, in the right way, with the right barakah. And if something isn't meant for you, no amount of chasing, no amount of dua, no amount of planning will make it last. That's not to discourage you from asking. Ask, beg, pray, but trust in the outcome. Know that Allah gives not just what you ask for, but what's best for you. And sometimes what's best for you is not what your heart desires, but what your soul needs. Your heart may want comfort. Your soul may need discomfort to grow. Your heart may want companionship. Your soul may need solitude to connect. Your heart may want ease. Your soul may need struggle to reach sincerity. And Allah in His infinite wisdom always gives your soul what it needs, even when your heart doesn't understand it yet. That's why patience is not just about waiting. It's about trusting during the wait. It's about believing that your silence is not a sign of abandonment. It's about knowing that just because you don't see movement doesn't mean nothing is happening. Allah is always at work behind the scenes, rearranging things, aligning hearts, preparing opportunities, and building a path that will eventually lead you to something far better than you imagined. When everything is calm and comfortable, most people feel content, relaxed, and safe. But the reality of life is that ease doesn't last forever. Every soul at some point will face a storm. Some storms shake you from the outside. Others disturb your inner peace in ways that words can never describe. And in those moments, it becomes clear that strength isn't built during times of luxury and relaxation. True strength comes from being tested, from being shaken, from being pushed to your limit and still choosing to hold on to Allah. That's when you discover the difference between saying you have faith and actually living by it. That's when your belief in Allah is no longer just words you say with your tongue, but a truth that flows through your entire being, through every tear that falls, every silent prayer that escapes your lips, and every moment you choose patience over panic. Sometimes you might feel that the storm you're in is too harsh. You might wonder why you're going through something so painful. But in that very moment, there's a secret gift unfolding. When you are stripped of all distractions, when nothing is left to rely on except your Lord, that's when a new version of you begins to grow. A version that is humbled, a version that trusts deeply, a version that finally recognizes that real power doesn't come from within you, but from the one who created you. You begin to understand that the storm was never meant to destroy you, it was meant to awaken your soul. It was meant to reintroduce you to the one who never leaves, the one who listens when no one else does, the one who provides light even in complete darkness. There are lessons in pain that ease could never teach you. You learn the beauty of silence when your heart is screaming. You learn the power of prayer when everything else has failed. You learn that strength isn't in having control, but in surrendering it to the Almighty. You start to realize that what looks like chaos from your limited view is actually perfect coordination from above. The delay, the heartbreak, the closed doors, all of it begins to make sense when you reflect deeply. Every wound makes your heart softer. Every hardship brings your soul closer to humility, and every tear becomes a silent witness of your resilience. Faith isn't about getting through life without pain, it's about knowing where to turn when the pain comes. When you look back at your life, you'll notice that it wasn't the easy moments that shaped you. It was the ones that made you cry at night. The ones that made you fall into sujood without even being able to speak. The ones that pushed you to re-evaluate your connection with your Creator. Those were the moments that refined you, purified your intentions, and reminded you that nothing is permanent in this world. Not joy, not sorrow, not people, not wealth. The only constant is Allah. And when He is your anchor, no wave can drown you, no storm can shake you, no loss can break you. If you ever feel like you've been left alone in your hardship, remind yourself that the prophets who were the most beloved to Allah faced the hardest trials. They didn't complain about their struggles, they turned them into conversations with their Lord. They didn't allow pain to push them away from their faith, they used it to draw closer. You are being taught through your struggle how to connect to Allah in a way that prosperity never could. You are being shown that your soul was never meant to rely on temporary things. It was always meant to rely solely on the eternal. The people around you may not understand what you're going through. They may offer words that don't help. They may disappear when you need them most. But that's part of the purification process. Sometimes Allah removes everyone so that you have no one left to depend on but Him. It may feel like a breakdown, but it's actually a breakthrough. You begin to see the world differently. You stop expecting peace from people who are also struggling. You stop seeking validation from a creation that can't even guarantee their own survival. Instead, you place your heart with the one who never changes, never forgets, never abandons, and never lets a tear fall in vain. There is no shame in feeling weak. Weakness doesn't mean you failed, it means you're human. What matters is where you turn in your weakness. Do you drown in your thoughts, or do you raise your hands in prayer? Do you complain to people who can't help you, or do you cry to the one who controls every outcome? Your reaction to hardship reveals the state of your heart. And it is in those raw, honest, painful moments that the most sincere du'as are made. The ones that come from a place of desperation. The ones that ask for nothing but Allah's closeness. Those are the du'as that carry weight in the heavens. Even when your plans fall apart, Allah's plan is still intact. Even when you are shattered into pieces, Allah is capable of putting you back together in ways you never imagined. He doesn't waste your pain. Every single moment of hardship is an opportunity for reward, for growth, for cleansing. And when you begin to see trials as a gift rather than a punishment, your entire mindset shifts. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, what is Allah teaching me? That shift is where real spiritual elevation begins. So whatever storm you're going through now, know this. It's not random. It's not without purpose. And most importantly, you are not alone. Your sustainer knows what you're facing. He is aware of every tear that falls, every sleepless night, every prayer whispered through trembling lips. And He promises, indeed with hardship comes ease. Not after hardship with it. That means the ease is already on its way. It's already hidden within the difficulty. Hold on, keep calling out to Him, keep prostrating, keep trusting. Because there will come a day when you look back and realize that storm you feared so much, it didn't drown you. It led you to Allah. And that in itself was the greatest help you could have ever received. Because one and only Allah can help you in the storm of troubles, not just by stopping the storm, but by showing you that even in the eye of the hurricane, your heart can find calm if it rests with Him.